If you've ever tried to eat healthier or change or tweak your habits with food, you probably quickly came to realize that it's not simply knowing what to eat or knowing all the things about nutrition that helps you make the change. The truth is, your mindset matters a ton when it comes to actually implementing and executing your healthy habits and sustaining them long term. So today we're going to talk about 5 unconscious ways that you might be sabotaging your own health goals and what you can do to fix it. Now, the first unconscious habit or thought that may be getting in the way of you and your health goals is that you're equating health to being strict or what not to have versus what you can actually add into your diet. If you're familiar with manifestation techniques or the power of attraction or law of attraction, or even just some concepts from positive psychology, you may have heard of this mindset of lack. And from money to relationships to food and nutrition, if you come at something from a place of lack, you are inevitably setting yourself up for failure. What we focus on, we put our energy towards. So you may think that, hey, Katie, why is it a bad thing that I'm saying no junk food, no pizza, no ice cream, or whatever it is? You may think that that's a positive thing because if you have less of those quote unquote junk foods or treat foods, then hypothetically you would have more of the healthier options. But what tends to actually happen in reality when we focus on what we don't want to have is that we hyper fixate on it. In fact, when you try not to have something or not to think of something, it actually makes it more present in your mind. We end up obsessing and probably avoiding that food for a short period of time, but after our willpower wears down, whether it's a couple hours, a couple days, or even a couple months that you go without that food, once you actually get to that food, you tend to have this restrict binge cycle that comes with it. So one of the top things that I love to recommend as a registered dietitian when you are tweaking your healthy habits is to focus on what you can include more of in your diet versus what to have less of. It's the same type of goal and intention, but just in a more positive framing. So if, for example, your goal is to lose weight and gain muscle, instead of focusing on that you want to have less sugar in your diet and maybe a little less carbs, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Instead of that, you would focus on, okay, hey, how can I have a very small, moderate calorie deficit so I can have sustainable weight loss? And how can I have satiating foods in my diet to help me do that? And also potentially, what can I do to tweak my carbs so that I can have healthier carbs versus restricting carbs? And maybe how can I have more protein-rich foods sprinkled throughout my day so I can feel full and also fuel muscle growth? I promise you'll have a naturally easier time meeting your healthy habits and achieving your goals when you focus on what you have more of versus less. The second unconscious way that you may be sabotaging your health and wellness goals is that you are only focusing on external factors to measure your success. While we do have some small level of control over weight loss or muscle gain or fat loss, we don't have 100% control. And the reason for that is genetics, metabolism, a lot of different factors that weigh into what we're actually doing. So you've probably heard, if you and I did the exact same workout for a year, say, for example, we would look different. We wouldn't look exactly identical because you and I are different ages, genders, come from different ethnicities, we come from different genetic makeup. So that all factors into what our body does with our exercise routine and our eating habits combined. And you may be thinking, okay, Katie, I guess I don't have control over anything. This is a huge bummer. Like, thanks for bumming me out. And the truth is, just because you don't have control over external factors does not mean that you don't have control over anything. What you do have control over is your habits. Habits are what we have true primary control over, and external things like weight, muscle gain, etc. are all secondary. They don't just get willed into existence. And this doesn't necessarily mean you can't have those external goals, But what I like to do with clients is if they have an external goal, make sure that we're breaking it down into other tangible things that we can turn into actionable daily habits. If your goal is to improve your hormone health, we'll use something other than weight loss because I feel like that's the go-to goal. There's a lot of different components that go into a hormone healthy diet and exercise plan. But let's just break it down into one or two components. One thing that you can do to help balance out your hormones if your hormones are out of whack is switch from HIIT workouts and workouts that are really kind of heart pumping and kind of cause a little bit of stress on the body, good stress nonetheless, but still some stress and inflammation on the body. Switch from HIIT workouts to strength training. So created from the external goal of wanting to improve your hormone health, we turn that into an exercise goal. And from that exercise goal, you would of course make it more specific. For example, this week I'm going to do 3 strength training workouts and 2 light walks instead of my normal HIIT routine or something along those lines. That is one way you can make it tangible and actionable. And if we're thinking nutrition for healthy hormones, we would break it down into, okay, what are the components of a healthy diet for hormones? And a big component of healthy hormones is going to be blood sugar control. So how can we turn this into an actionable daily habit? Well, we can have small, frequent meals with carbs and fat and protein versus having infrequent meals that only have carbs or only have fat or only have protein, whatever. You see here how we are still having those big picture goals that we may or may not have control over, but ultimately we're turning them into something that we can actually on a habit tracker check yes or no, I did that today. You can't do weight loss today, or you can't do hormone health today. You have to turn it into something that you can measure, that you have control over. Okay, the third way that you could be sabotaging your health and wellness goals is that you are attracting what you don't want versus what you do want in your life. So this kind of goes along with tip number 1, but I think there's a little bit of a differentiation here. So with this one, it's kind of like an overall mindset of I don't want to gain weight. I don't want to do this or that. I don't want to add this type of vegetable in my diet. I don't want to add a HIIT workout into my routine. And we get kind of stuck in this negative mindset about what healthy eating and health and wellness really mean. Now, no, I did not create the definition of health and wellness, but I can say for a fact that health and wellness is sure as heck not punishment and doing everything you don't want to do. So if your healthy diet or your exercise plan or both are making you miserable, then there's something wrong and there's something that you need to change. I hate to say it like this, but you're not doing it correctly. That sounds so mean. But again, this isn't your fault. I think we're taught that health has to be a punishment, that health has to hurt, and getting to your healthiest weight has to be something that's like boot camp style or Jillian Michaels screaming in your ear telling you what to do. It really doesn't have to be like that. I think that's just kind of the media portrayal that we get. So one way that you can combat this is try something different. So for example, if you absolutely hate HIIT workouts. I remember when I started working out, that's kind of where I started at, was HIIT workouts. And I didn't totally love it, but I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing. And I figured out after some time and experimentation that I really, really loved strength training. Not strength training that had a bunch of jumping jacks and burpees and crazy stuff like that. I didn't really like the heart pumping stuff or the CrossFit stuff. I loved true, slow strength training. I loved how the heavy weights made my muscles feel. I loved how my brain and body felt afterwards. And it was easy to get in my exercise every single day, or not every single day, but you know what I mean? Like every day that I wanted to get in exercise, it was easy to fit it in and I didn't dread it because I actually liked what I was doing. If you can hear purring, Maya is loudly purring on my lap, more of like a roar versus a purr, but if you can hear it in the microphone, I'm sorry. ASMR. But everyone has exercise that they enjoy. My fiance, Glenn, is not really a traditional exerciser. He doesn't like structured workouts. In fact, anything but structured is what he likes, but he does like to work out. So he'll walk, go on hikes, and he loves to snowboard. Those are all activities, and those are all things that burn energy and that help your body improve your cardiovascular fitness and your strength and endurance and power. But he had to find what worked for him, and he is never going to have a workout routine like me where I just turn on Apple Fitness and do a workout for 30 to 45 minutes. That's just not his speed, and that's okay. He can still be a healthy person and be physically fit without having to do exactly what I do and what I prefer. If you've never done it before, I encourage you to take 5 minutes and just find a quiet place where you can just sit and have relative silence, or at least just some ambiance in the background, and close your eyes and envision your healthiest self. And by healthiest self, I don't necessarily mean your most perfect self. I just mean, what is your ideal body? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does your mood feel like? Who's around you? Do you have a lot of friends that are doing exercises with you? Maybe you're envisioning yourself in the gym by yourself. Maybe you're just picking up your kids and walking outside and doing it with ease. Like, just imagine what your healthiest daily routine and body and mindset look like. You can write this down. You can put it in a vision board on Pinterest if you still use Pinterest. I sometimes do. Or you can just think about it and meditate on it. It really doesn't matter. It's up to you. But the point is to actually envision what it looks like to be your healthiest self, and then embody it. Focus on what you want and what you can feel like, what the result can be like, mind, body, and spirit, not just what you don't want. In fact, focus as little as possible on what you don't want, because again, what we fixate on, we put all our energy into. And we'd rather be focusing on the positive, uplifting side and not just the negative. The negative will come, don't worry, it happens to all of us, but we don't want to let it consume us to the point where we're self-sabotaging our goals because of it. All right, real quick before we get into the next 2 ways that you could be self-sabotaging your goals, I want to hear from you in the comment section below. What's one mindset shift around your health, wellness, mindset, whatever, that you've shifted that's been life-changing? And hey, if you want to check out how you can work with me, or you want to check out my free masterclass on mindful eating, check the description below for the link to sign up and get it sent straight to your inbox. Okay, on to number 4. Number 4 of the ways that you could be self-sabotaging your health and wellness goals is that you are putting a tremendous amount of pressure on the outcome. Or I think another way to put this is that you are equating your self-worth to the outcome that may or may not come. So if I don't get to 130 pounds, then I'm not worthy. Or if I don't lose the last 5 pounds, I'm never going to be able to wear a dress ever again. Or let's think of some for my male audience. If I don't have a six-pack, then I don't want to take my shirt off at the pool. As difficult as it can be, letting go of that outcome can be the quickest way to actually being more successful in your goals. And I also think it's extremely important to point out that your self-worth should never be attached to your looks, to your body, or to how others perceive you. As someone who has really struggled with body image issues myself my entire life, I understand that it's hard to just go from feeling critical about your body and having things that you want to change to just all of a sudden, ooh, woo-woo stuff. I accept my body exactly the way it is and it's perfect. I don't think that this is an opportunity necessarily to gaslight yourself and manipulate your own mind into forcing yourself to kind of believe that you accept your body, if that makes any sense. I feel like I'm not making total sense, but I do want you to notice when those thoughts of my worth is attached to this outcome come up, and think of, is this actually true? Is this 100% true? Maybe you think it's 50% true, but the point is to start to notice and break down some of those thoughts. And you may not necessarily be ready to just flip the script and completely say the opposite, like go from I hate my stomach to I love my stomach, but you can say something a little more neutral, like I appreciate my stomach for what it does. It helps me digest food. It helps me tell me when I'm hungry and when I'm full. And it does a lot of things for me. And even if I don't totally love it, I know that it serves its purpose, and I know that my self-worth is more than just what my body looks like. So again, I want to be really clear that I don't expect any of you to just totally flip the script and just absolutely gaslight yourself to body positivity, but just tweaking that to make sure that you're not putting so much weight on the outcome of your health goals, which oftentimes we find to be physical health goals. I want to make sure that you're focused in on the reality and taking yourself away from just fixating and obsessing over weight and muscle gain and stuff like that. Okay, and the last way that you may be self-sabotaging your health and wellness goals is that you are in an all or nothing mentality. Or another way that I like to put this is a suppress until you absolutely burst mentality. All right, don't lie to me now. In the comment section below, let me know if you have ever had this revelation of a moment, whether it's in your wellness or some other topic, where you were going to totally revamp your budget, totally revamp your diet or your fitness plan or something else. You wanted to try a new fitness routine. You wanted to try keto. You wanted to try Whole30, and you're absolutely killing it at first. But the second that you go a little bit off on your new habit and are just a tiny bit imperfect with it, you fall off. You completely give up. It's not worth it if it's not perfect. And that, my friend, is what we like to call all or nothing mentality. You are suppressing the innately human fact that you are human. And you think the only way to make a change, again, whether it's your nutrition or your fitness or even financially, like your budget, the only way to do it is if you do it 100% right 100% of the time. Let me just tell you that if you aim to do anything perfect 100% of the time, you are setting yourself up to fail. And hey, I totally get it. Constantly, we are bombarded with messages and, these photos of TikTokers and Instagrammers who have the perfect body and they're doing 3 workouts a day and they have all the time in the world to get totally jacked, get their 6-pack and look amazing and have all the nice clothes. There's some problematic stuff with that as well. We can talk about that another time, but oftentimes what you see on Instagram is not actually what that person looks like in real life. There's some really, really intricate editing that we can do nowadays, and it's kind of scary. Let me know in the comment section below if you want me to talk about that in the future, but that's a whole nother story. You want to know what's truly sexy? Sexier than losing 10 pounds in 10 days? Losing 10 pounds in 3 months, but keeping it off for years and years to come. Feeling satisfied with your meals and not deprived. Eating the foods that you really love and still meeting your goals. It can absolutely be done. Instead of going extreme and then inevitably burning out after a couple days or a month, stick with something that's sustainable and reevaluate every single week whether or not that goal is still sustainable. Because remember, our chapters of life change. For example, my typical exercise routine is 5 strength training workouts per week, 4 or 5, and also some cardio mixed in there. But right now I am 17 weeks pregnant and I am absolutely not sticking to that very easily. I'm getting a little bit better at it right now, but in my first trimester, it was almost impossible to get more than 3 workouts in a week. And that's just the chapter of life I was in. I was experiencing morning sickness. I could barely eat any food. I had like 0 energy, like -10 energy. Okay, so to expect myself to stay on the same exact routine in that small, tiny window of my life would have been unrealistic and honestly unhealthy. So let me know in the comment section below, how can you make your current #1 goal a little bit more sustainable so you can actually stick with it? If you enjoyed this video, I think you'll love my video on the 7 types of hunger and mindful eating and how it'll absolutely change your life. If you want to learn more how to work with me, your registered dietitian and personal trainer, then check out the links in the description below, including my free masterclass on mindful eating and how to get started as a beginner. And if you want to keep hanging out with me here on the channel, click or tap the screen to head on over to the next video. Bye guys. Ooh, my back.